Imagine a team dismissed by the world, a team from the tiny island of Sri Lanka, with no history of dominance, suddenly rising from the ashes to confront the giants of cricket.
That's it, all the way to the boundary for four. What a victory for the Sri Lankans.
No one saw them coming. They weren't the favourites. They weren't even considered contenders. Yet, from the depths of obscurity, they rose, against all odds, against all expectations, to conquer the biggest stage of them all. But how did a team with everything to gain and nothing to lose achieve the unthinkable? This is the breathtaking tale of Sri Lanka's astonishing rise to World Cup glory. And you won't want to miss a single moment of this remarkable journey. So, let's get started. This is no ordinary sports fairy tale. Sri Lanka did not step into the World Cup full of high hopes. They entered battered, scarred, and barely holding on. Survivors of a storm that nearly crushed them before they even set foot on the field. But if the world thought they were in for an easy ride, boy, were they wrong. Behind the scenes, the Sri Lankan cricket board was on its knees, barely able to fund the team. Overseas tours? Only if a sponsor was willing to step in. And what about the players? They were not living the glamorous lives of their peers in Australia or England. No, they were surviving. Young cricketers from outside Colombo faced constant financial struggles, unable to afford the rent in the city. Most of them juggled part-time jobs to make ends meet, relying on the kindness of friends and teammates just to have a place to stay. Take Sanath Jayasuriya. The future hero was living in his captain Arjuna Ranatunga's house. Not in fancy hotels, but crammed into bedrooms with other players and Ranatunga's brothers. They bonded over every meal, every training session, and it made them stronger. What could be more Sri Lankan than fighting as a unit? This wasn't just a team, it was a family. And in that family, there was one unspoken rule. No matter how hard life gets, we fight. Since 1993 until the start of the World Cup, Sri Lanka won 24 ODIs and lost 38 against top 7 opposition. Since 1990, Sri Lanka had managed to score over 250 and win against a top team only 7 times. No one gave them a chance, especially looking at the previous records in the World Cup where they had never gotten past the group stages of the competition. But one man was crazy enough to think that this was all possible. Arjuna Ranatunga. His unshakable belief that a team of part-time bank clerks, insurance agents, and salesmen could conquer the cricket world was nothing short of madness or sheer genius. It wasn't just confidence, it was a vision so audacious that most would call it delusional. Sure, Sri Lanka might turn a few heads, but to imagine them lifting the World Cup, that was a dream no one dared to believe, except Ranatunga. But before that, Sri Lanka had to fight many battles, and this time, a battle of pride. In 1995, Muthaiya Muralitharan, their rising spin star, was publicly humiliated during the Boxing Day Test match against Australia. Umpire Daryl Hare called Murli for chucking, not once or twice, but 7 times in 3 overs.
I tell you, Bill, having looked at that, there is absolutely no doubt that he's called him for throwing.
The cricketing world erupted in debate. Was it a legitimate action, or was Murli defying the laws of cricket? The treatment of Muralitharan was compared to a public execution by the commentator Jim Maxwell. It was more than a blow to Murli. It was a slap in the face of the entire Sri Lankan team. The Australian fans chanted no ball every time Murli bowled. To many in Sri Lanka, this wasn't just about cricket. It was racism. It was discrimination. It was war. But Arjuna Ranatunga wasn't the kind of captain to back down. When Australia called out his bowler, Ranatunga called out Australia. And then came the ball tampering accusations. Yes, Australia again. To Sri Lanka, these accusations weren't just about rules. They were about respect. And Ranatunga was having none of it. Ranatunga knew his team had the fire. But to win, Sri Lanka needed to be fitter, faster and sharper. Enter new coach Dave Watmore. With Watmore came modern training regimes, fitness drills, strength training, and mental toughness sessions. Run until you collapsed. The grueling session starting at 45 minutes and escalating to nearly 2 hours, 3 to 4 times a week. This team was being forged into warriors, and the bond they shared, living together, fighting for survival, was unbreakable. Then, just weeks before the World Cup, another storm hit. Australia and the West Indies refused to play in Sri Lanka. They cited security concerns, and although many in the cricket world understood the stance, the Sri Lankan public saw it as an insult to the nation. As soon as this news came out, Ranatunga didn't hold back.
Arjuna said, "We want Australia in the final." There weren't too many teams in world cricket going around saying, "Bring on Australia." But Arjuna had the guts to say that, "Bring on Australia."
With their newfound confidence, Sri Lanka entered the 1996 World Cup with a fresh approach. And boy, did it catch the world by surprise. Ranatunga made a decision that shocked the world. Sanath Jayasuriya and Romesh Kaluvitarana, the two least experienced batsmen, were sent to open the innings, not to build slowly, but to attack. Attack from the very first ball. At a time when most teams cautiously played out the first 15 overs, these two turned it into a fireworks display. The strike rates in the tournament were an incredible 140.38 by Kaluvitarana and 131.54 by Jayasuriya. Their job was simple, just score 100 runs in 15 overs. And they did it 3 times in the tournament. 117 against India, 113 against Kenya, and 121 against England in the quarter-finals. Their first challenge awaited them in the form of India. As favourites, India looked poised for victory, especially after Sachin Tendulkar's brilliant 137 in the first innings, which had many believing the match was all but sealed for them. But Sri Lanka had other plans. Chasing a target of 272, the Ogners unleashed a ferocious assault that left the Indian bowlers reeling. Sanath Jayasuriya especially was on fire, devastating the attack, and he literally ended Manoj Prabhakar's career. So shattered was Prabhakar's confidence that he resorted to bowling spin in his next spell. With figures of 4 for 47, this marked the end of Prabhakar's career in an Indian shirt. It was in Delhi that Sri Lanka truly believed they could win the World Cup. Ranatunga said, "Till then, I thought we should reach the semis. When we won this match, I knew we could take the tournament." Winning is one thing, but winning in that manner, that too against India, is another. Sri Lanka finished their group stage by setting a world record score of 395 against Kenya, winning the match by 144 runs, with Aravinda de Silva scoring 145. In the quarter-finals against England, Sri Lanka capitalized on the England batsmen's nerves. Their spinners wreaked havoc, claiming 6 wickets, while Sanath Jayasuriya unleashed a whirlwind assault, smashing 82 runs off just 44 balls. By the time he fell, Sri Lanka had already raced to half of their target by the 13th over. After the match, England's Dermot chief approached Jayasuriya and said, "You have ruined my career, but I'm going home to put 600 pounds on you guys, so you had better win." The semi-final at Eden Gardens against India was electric. Sri Lanka faced a formidable Indian side, but after losing their explosive opening pair of Jayasuriya and Kaluvitarana cheaply, they appeared on the brink of collapse. However, Aravinda de Silva steadied the ship, scoring a vital 66 and guiding Sri Lanka to a competitive total of 251. Chasing that target, India pinned their hopes on one man, Sachin Tendulkar, who was in sublime form throughout the tournament, played with grace until Jayasuriya deceived him, leaving him stunned. As Tendulkar walked back, Eden Gardens fell into stunned silence, and also India's spirit evaporated, leading to a catastrophic collapse of 7 wickets for just 22 runs. The crowd had had enough and started igniting parts of the stands in frustration. And with India at 120 for 8, Sri Lanka was awarded a victory by default. What should have been a historic contest ended in chaos. But for Sri Lanka, it sealed their place in the final. Then came the final, and their opponent was none other than Australia. On the night of March 17, 1996, at Lahore's Gaddafi Stadium, destiny awaited. This wasn't just a final, it was the culmination of a challenging journey, one marked by odds defied, controversies faced, and blatant disrespect from the cricketing elite. Sri Lanka, the underdogs who had been shunned by many, were ready to confront the invincible Australia. The stage was set for revenge, redemption, and history. As they prepared for the final, many, including the legendary Imran Khan, urged them to bat first if they won the toss. Conventional wisdom dictated setting a target in such a high-stakes game, but Ranatunga, foreseeing the impact of the night dew, sent the Australians in to bat first, a choice many considered reckless. Australia began their innings aggressively, and at 137 for 1, they seemed to be in control. But then, Aravinda de Silva stepped up, claiming the vital wickets of Mark Tiller and Ricky Ponting, shifting the momentum. From there on, Sri Lanka spinners took over, and Australia stumbled to 241 for 7, a competitive total, but within reach. As Sri Lanka entered the chase, expectations were high, but disaster struck early. Their explosive opening pair fell within 5 overs. For a moment, it felt like Sri Lanka's fairy tale was over. But in the midst of the chaos, Aravinda de Silva remained calm. With ice in his veins and fire in his heart, he counter-attacked. De Silva unleashed a masterclass, slicing through the Australian bowling attack with precision and authority. Supported by captain Arjuna Ranatunga, Sri Lanka inched closer to the target. As the tension mounted, Ranatunga cut a delivery from Megra to the boundary, sealing the victory. Sri Lanka had done it. Aravinda de Silva, the hero of the hour, remained unbeaten on 107, a knock that would go down in history as one of the greatest in a World Cup final. The image of Arjuna Ranatunga lifting the trophy high into the air will forever be a symbol of a revolution. Sri Lanka, the underdogs who had risen from adversity, were now crowned kings of the cricketing world. The world was watching as an island nation stood atop the cricketing world. This was more than just a victory. It was a symbol of resilience, pride, and unity. Nobody expected us to win a World Cup, but fortunately, I had 13 committed cricketers who were more keen on doing justice for their country than themselves. So guys, that's it for today's video. If you are curious to dive deeper into the brilliance of Sanath, Jayasuriya and Aravinda de Silva, just click on the videos popping up on your screen. You definitely don't want to miss it. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. Until next time, keep watching this beautiful game. See you soon.